And good evening, I'm Jeff Koinange, and this is Jeff Koinange Live. Tonight, you know, if it's Thursday, it's all about inspiration. And I tell you, once in a while we get a story that we hear about that just tears at the heart. On top of that, we feel we need to share these kinds of stories, like my guest tonight. Imagine this. You're 14 years old, and your mother's friend introduces you into prostitution. That's right. That's what happened to Rahab Omunzi when she was 14. And for the next 11 years, she was a prostitute. Okay, they call them sex workers today, but let's face it, it is what it is. And she did just about everything and anything a prostitute or sex worker would do. In fact, Koinange Street, was her hangout. 11 years. Her story is as harrowing as it is riveting. Orgies, all kinds of sexual acts, even guns involved. And at some point, she even wanted to commit suicide or just relieve herself of everything that was going on. 11 years later, she walked away. And now, at the age of 34, she says she's reformed. She's a Christian. She's studying to be a pastor. She preaches and talks to anybody and anybody she can, because this is a reality. Let's face it. Millions of us going through it out there. You may know them. Your daughter, your niece, your cousin, your sister, you may know them. She was one of them. She wants to talk about it. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. You're going to meet a young lady, incredible, and she's even written a book called Breaking Free, the story of Rahab Omunzi. Her Twitter handle is @RahabRenewed. Mine is @Koinange Jeff. The hashtag we're using tonight is the title of her book, Breaking Free. Rahab Omunzi.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Good to see you, my dear.
Good to see you too.
What a story. What a life. 14 years old, Rahab?
Yes.
How did it happen? Come on. How is one introduced into prostitution at 14?
My mom and dad separated when I was just about to clear class 8. And my mom I left with my mother. And fast forward, the results are out. I was called to a boarding school, but she didn't have money to pay my school fees. So I joined Form 1 late, and that is how her friend, my mother was meant to give me a minimum of 200 a day, bus fare and hot lunch money, because I joined the day school. So it happened that even that was a struggle as she was trying to sort herself out. So one day there was an open day in school, and the friends met, and she lived 5 minutes away from the school. So she suggested to my mom, why don't I live with your daughter as you sort yourself? And my mom was like, thank God, these are answered prayers. And that is how life started.
And this woman, what, befriended you? And
she was a mother figure. So for me, I was comfortable with her because it's someone I knew, I'd seen around. So of course it wasn't like day one, but that is the first house I was allowed to take alcohol. She brought weed and we experimented. She brought ecstasy and we experimented.
Did she have a husband? Did she have kids?
No. She just had a daughter. So one day she comes home with 2 men, one for me and one for her daughter. And she says, she sat us down, she applied us makeup, and she said, Rahab, you need to be able to pay your school fees. Your mother is struggling to pay your school fees. And she said, it made sense because she was actually struggling. You don't have stationery, you're struggling with books, your mother is basically at her lowest point. So it's very easy, you can make easy money. All you have to do, because real women pay their bills, real women are independent. So I wanted to be that real woman who's independent. And she said, all you have to do is just sleep with this guy.
Did you know what that meant?
No, because of course, as a 14-year-old, you trust the person you've been left with.
Yeah.
Everyone to you who's above in age is a role model. So you don't expect them to lead you to the gutter or anything. And so I lost my virginity to a man old enough to be my granddad.
One of these two guys who were in the room?
Yes, and her daughter also lost. She pimped me and her daughter.
On that night?
Yes.
And then when the act was over, what happened?
It didn't last that long, Jeff, and I was like, that's it. So my introduction to sex was rape. That was my first introduction to sex because I didn't want it and I didn't know what it was.
And you had no choice.
And I had no choice. And when I took the money home to my mother come the weekend, my mother asked me, where did you get the money? I was not given by the man, so I told her auntie so-and-so gave me the money. And she said, oh, really? So my mother blessed my career.
Just out of curiosity, how much money was that day?
It was like 30K. Yes.
More money than you had seen in your life?
Yes, and that was my introduction to sex, and it became a lifestyle.
Okay. Were you drawn into it, Rahab? I mean, obviously 30K, and you said, you know what? If I can make my mother happy with this 30K, maybe, you know, I could do another 30K next week or, you know, next Tuesday or whatever it is.
You see, this is something you're doing. You're still trying to understand it. So, of course, the first thing you do, something precious has been taken away from you, Jeff. So what happens is you rebel. You start becoming rebellious because you don't have anyone close to talk to you about boys. And then you're sheltered, you come from a sheltered background. So of course there is that thing of like, who can I speak to about what I'm going through? When you go to school, teachers notice that you are dropping in studies, but you're not sure if you tell them, will they ostracize you or something like that? Yeah. Will they judge you? So you have no one.
No one to tell.
No one to tell. So you bury it in, and you bury the pain inside. So of course you go deeper into drugs, and you realize weed and alcohol are not working, and you want something harder. So introduction to heroin comes in, to coke, it comes in, and that became a lifestyle. So I was just passing through school.
And literally. You're still in school? You're a teenager?
Yes. So I was just passing through school.
And being pimped at the same time?
Yes. And the saddest part is you can't speak to anyone because, of course, your life is being threatened and you're scared.
Okay, so you're 18 years old, let's say, right? And
after Form 4, yeah. I went back home, and that was when my biological mother got to know that my daughter, her daughter, who she loved most, her only daughter, was a sex worker.
How?
Because now I am used to a lifestyle. From 1 to Form 4, I'm used to the nightlife. So now coming to, I'm waiting for my results to come. I've just cleared my exams. And when I'm about to sit for my exam, Jeff, I actually realize that I'm pregnant. And I go to this lady who is purportedly to be my mother, and she takes me for my first abortion. Something that was so painful that I wouldn't want anyone's daughter to go through. And after that, I went to sit for my exams. So I'm bleeding, I'm in pain, and I'm still sitting for my exams. So after the exams is when, fast forward, I went home, and my mother couldn't start having this discussion of boys and girls and condoms with me. I was already too deep.
You're an expert.
Not really, yeah. But now, what do you tell someone who's already that deep? So my mother opted to prayer. And that became my lifestyle for 11 years.
You mentioned a moment ago, Rahab, that your first abortion.
Yes.
Were there more?
Yes, there were. There were a couple.
How many?
At least 6.
6 abortions?
Yeah.
And in the meantime, okay, after Form 4, did you want to go on with school? Did you want to pursue your studies, or you wanted that lifestyle that you were used to?
By the time I was clearing Form 4, Jeff, I was a sex addict. I was a coke and hard drug addict. I was an alcoholic. So it was really hard. I had a life to maintain, but yet I would smile and laugh, but no one would, I was screaming, but no one would hear my screams. No one would see my pain. Because most of us hide so much in our smiles, in our makeup, but when we unmask ourselves, then the real you comes out. So to numb the pain, you just get deeper and you bury yourself in the liquor and drugs. Yeah.
What was the worst part, Rahab? What was the worst situation you were in when you were in this trade, if you will?
You know, first of all, the viewers need to understand that there are different levels in prostitution. And what we see in the street prostitute when you're driving around at night, that's among the lowest levels in prostitution. So there's the call girl, there are the escorts, there are the strip dancers, they go in different. So when I was on the streets, Koinange Street, I was picked up by a man, and it was a stag party. I didn't know. We negotiated, and I was raped by 5 of his friends. Both, of course, they rape you and they sodomize you. So
at the stag?
Yes. So they take you, and you think you're going with someone, and then that's what happened. And the other worst experience.
Hold on. So what do they do with you afterwards? I mean, what?
Nothing. You see, no one cares.
You're like a piece of meat.
Yes. No one really cares about you, because you see, you're already marginalized. So no one really cares about your feelings. Actually, you hide so much with drinking and drugs and everything, but no one really gets to know your pain unless they've been there with you.
And then would you go to other stags? I mean, would you go to...
That was an experience. Then, of course, I moved. When I was in school, I was on the brothel level, where clients are brought to you. Then when I moved out of the brothel, I went to the street level. And of course, you have to be introduced by someone. You can't just stand in the street. You have to be introduced by someone.
Even on my street?
Yes, you have to be introduced by someone. And later on is when a friend invited me for a party, and she told me, you have to clean up, you have to be well learned. If you're dating a manager or a football personality, for example, you have to be a football fan. That's how I became a Gor Mahia fan, because we were good at throwing stones and all those things.
And some of them were your clients?
Moving on. And
come on.
And of course, I'm a Chelsea fan, so you get to know, you understand the football. If you're dating a golfer, you get to study. You literally go online and study your client.
And what about politicians?
Of course, you'll have to know what kind of politician. If for example, this is just a by the way, if they're in mining, for example, that's just off. You have to know about what the mining department do, because you're going to be invited for these parties. You have to look like, you have to fit in. When they look at you, you can't look like a call girl.
So are there people watching you right now who say, I know that woman?
Yeah, I've met them in supermarkets.
No.
Yes, with my husband.
And their wives and children, or they're shopping?
They go like, hi darling, and I go like, hi, how are you? Meet my husband. And so they shy away.
No.
Yes.
So, any politicians we know, or just
no names, Jeff, no names.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And of course, the second worst experience ever was a bottle being fixed in me. That happened in Mombasa.
No.
Yes, I have stitches to show.
A bottle?
Yes.
Why?
Because that is where they derive pleasure.
You're kidding me.
That's the truth. You're dehumanized. You know, like, you see, what happens is you see, the first time it happens, it was rape. So of course you're a victim of rape, but no one really understands you've been raped. And you're battered, you are verbally abused, you're physically abused. I went through all that drama.
And then you were telling me earlier on, Rahab, the gun to your head.
Yes.
What was that about?
I just wanted, it got to a point.
No, you had a boyfriend.
Yes. And he was an armed robber. And all I wanted to do was, I wanted to die. I'd gotten to a point where in the industry, the younger you are, the more marketable you are. And because you're always intoxicated, it shows even on your skin. So you look at a 19-year-old and she looks like a 25-year-old because she's always on drugs and putting on hard makeup and all those things. And so you discover that I just wanted to die. I'd gotten to my end. I tried suicide, it didn't work, it backfired on me. So I wanted to go to the extreme whereby when he used to get intimate with me, he would put a gun to his head and I would provoke, yes, I would provoke him so that he can shoot me. But he never got the opportunity because I wanted to die.
But
so
he would make love to you with a gun
no,
pointed?
that's not love.
All right.
Yeah.
But he was an armed robber.
Yes.
Where is he now?
He died a couple of years ago.
Shot, killed?
Yes.
By police?
Yes.
And he was your lover? Or your...
I was one of his major clients. So, yes.
How did you meet him?
Of course, I guess when you want to end your life, if you want to end, there are ways to end your life. So I thought for me that would be the only way. And I met him where I used to live.
And you wanted to die?
I wanted to die. I wanted it all. I was so much in pain that I thought the only way I would move forward in life was to have sex and just to get abused. I didn't know how to. I was not used to being told please, excuse me. So I was used to being hit to react. I was just a bad girl and I attracted bad boys, and the rest is history.
Wow. Did you think you would ever get out of it? Did you think that you would survive all this despite your suicide attempt and all this?
I never thought I would survive it. But when I look at it today, I see that that was my path of destiny that I had to pursue so that I can be able to be a voice to the voiceless, and I can be able to help someone who's trying to get out. I know what it means to be raped. So when I meet a rape victim, I can give them a shoulder to cry on because I've been there, done that, and bought a t-shirt. So it's nothing new to me. And I learned to raise my self-esteem. I had to start. It was a process, Jeff. It wasn't easy come, easy go. I had to start believing I'm beautiful. The first time my husband told me I'm beautiful, I asked him, what do you want? Because I didn't really know. I mean, I didn't know how to be appreciated. I didn't know what it meant to be loved. I didn't know what it meant to be pampered. So it was just a heartful experience. And then I meet a gentleman and I'm provoking him so that he can hit me, and he says real men don't hit a woman, so I'm confused.
Would other men hit you? Would they abuse you?
That is the lifestyle I was used to, because you see, they take you as trash. And that is why even today, Jeff, if you drive and insult a girl or you sneer at her and she's standing on the street, she will insult you because she's been getting that all her life. She's used to being insulted, so she has insults. Yes.
Goodness.
And I remember one day someone just picked me randomly and asked me, why do you do this? And that was a rare client, because I'd never gotten such a client, and it started getting me thinking, why do I really do this? He said, do you know you're a beautiful girl? And I was like, this guy.
What does he want?
What does he want? What do you want? And he actually negotiated, gave me my money, but I'll never forget, he was the first kind client I'd ever had in a long time.
Where was he from?
I don't know him.
Kenyan?
Yes, he's Kenyan.
Okay.
Yes.
Were they foreigners?
Of course, they were foreigners.
Women?
I had tried that a couple of times, but it didn't work. Yes. When it comes to sex, I went to the extreme side.
You did everything?
I did everything. And for me, I always say I didn't survive because through my own strength. And that is why I tell people I survived because of God's grace. I survived because my mother of a praying mother. My mother continually prayed for me. I survived because of destiny. Destiny sustained me out there through the mess to get a message out of it.
Is your mother still alive?
Yes, she's my best friend today.
Is she watching you?
Yes, she is. Mommy, I love you. Yeah.
What a story.
Yeah.
What a story, Rahab. My goodness. Breaking free, folks. You can't make this stuff up. A moving story of a woman shattering her bonds and her journey toward liberty. From sex worker to social worker. That's what Rahab Omunzi has become. We're going to talk a lot more about her story, but coming up, another young lady out on a date, or out with her girls, ends up going home, is confronted, and is raped and sodomized. And her life changed after that. And I'm sure it's happening to people you know out there, folks. Could be your daughter, your sister, your niece, your Mother, you never know. It's happening more than we know, and that's why we're talking about it on Inspiration Thursday. Keep tweeting at Rahab Renewed, at Koinange Jeff. The hashtag we're using is the title of Rahab's book, by the way. She's written 4 books. This is just one of them. Breaking Free. Pick it up at
Wakester on Koinange Street.
Well, it just had to be, didn't it? The irony of it all. Jeff Koinange live takes a break. Plenty more coming back in a moment.